Yo, welcome back to the channel. Kamusta sa inyong lahat? Brant is not a pure healer. Let's get this out of the way immediately. If you're trying to build Brant as a healer, you are throwing away his huge damage potential. Plain and simple. Even with rejuvenating glow, his heals are so minuscule they might as well be theoretical. The Shorekeeper, Baishi, and Verena are all laughing in the distance. So, if you're considering pulling for Brant expecting some top tier sustain, let me stop you right there. You will be sorely disappointed. His support utility does exist, but it primarily comes from his shields and damage boosts rather than his healing capabilities. If you want a true healer, your best bets remain the Shorekeeper, Baishi, or Verena. Disclaimer: this video is based on pre-released information acquired in-game through Brant's trial, so take it with a grain of salt until his official release. The goal here is to analyze the numbers behind his damage and support to give an objective perspective before you decide to pull for him. No excessive leaks, just cold, hard stats. In addition, these stats will take into account several buffs from his kit, his weapon, his Sonata set, his echoes, and Chang Li's outro. So unlike in my previous videos, these calculations will show a better picture of his true potential. For more about Brant, check out my previous videos about him. For this lab test, we're running the ultimate Brant build, his best in slot weapon, Unflickering Valor, and a full 5-piece Tidebreaking Courage in the first round, and a full 5-piece set of Molten Rift in the second round. To reach the golden 280 Energy Regen, we're stacking a Dragon of Dirge 4-cost Echo alongside 2 Energy Regen 3-cost Echoes. For substats, we will assume a median roll of 8% Energy Regen per piece. This is the setup that lets Brant go berserk. So, for the Tidebreaking set, we got 291%, while Molten Rift netted 281%. So, why 280 Energy Regen, you may ask? Because Brant's support and damage capabilities are directly tied to his Energy Regen stat. The higher it goes, the more uptime he has on his Forte and Liberation buffs, allowing him to provide better team utility. Additionally, his attack gets up to 2,600 additional flat stat from 280% Energy Regen, which is the maximum allowed. While stacking this much Energy Regen might seem excessive, it ensures Brant isn't just another burst-reliant DPS who struggles to stay relevant in longer fights. Additionally, Brant's best-in-slot weapon, Unflickering Valor, is the backbone of this entire setup. Not only does it provide a massive boost to Energy Regen, but it also amplifies his overall damage significantly, ensuring he can maintain consistent uptime on his buffs and abilities. Without this weapon, reaching the ideal 280 Energy Regen threshold becomes much harder, and his overall performance takes a major hit. Now, let's look at the damage numbers. Tidebreaking Courage versus Molten Rift with Unflickering Valor. With our fully optimized setup, Brant's Liberation slaps for 70,050, while his total Forte damage clocks in at 215,832. And that's before crits. Do note that enemy defense and resistance will also bring these numbers back down to earth. And what about his shields? His Liberation grants 1,418, and his Forte grants a total of 3,639 heals and a 7,161 shield. Pretty respectable for someone who is not a pure healer, don't you think? But let's put these numbers in perspective. A single activation of Brant's Liberation deals damage on par with some of the game's dedicated DPS units' ultimates. This means that even if you're running him as a support unit, his sheer output cannot be ignored. The combination of his forte and liberation damage makes him a consistent source of fusion-heavy strikes, keeping enemy resistance in check while ensuring he remains an active contributor to the team's total DPS. For those doubting whether Brant can scale well with investment, let's take a step back and consider the potential multipliers. Adding crit scaling to these base damage numbers would push his damage into truly absurd territory, making him not only a viable sub-DPS but a genuine main DPS contender in the right setups. While most supports in the game take a backseat in terms of damage, Brant outright refuses to be sidelined. But what about Molten Rift, his so-called second best Sonata set? With the same weapon, Liberation hits 68,963, while his forte damage lands 210,089. His support takes a minor hit with 1,385 heals from Liberation and 3,457 heals with a 6,990 shield from his forte circuit. While Molten Rift offers a slightly lower overall damage, which is around 3% less, it's still a viable alternative thanks to its additional fusion damage buffs. However, Tidebreaking Courage compensates with a 15% attack boost and 10% energy regen, keeping Brant's DPS and support capabilities in peak condition. The final verdict: is Brant actually worth pulling? Or will he break your account as Saint Tonta says? Brant isn't here to babysit your team with heals. He's here to obliterate enemies while providing just enough support to keep himself and his allies standing. If you're looking for a dedicated healer, well, keep scrolling. But if you want a high energy regen, high damage monster who can buff, shield, and still smack things around with fusion power, then Brant might just be the pick for you. Final takeaway: Tidebreaking Courage edges out Molten Rift as his best Sonata set, but Molten Rift remains a solid alternative. Either way, one thing is clear: Brant is not the joke people think he is. The numbers don't lie. But is he the right pull for your account, or will he sit on the bench collecting dust? That depends. Are you willing to commit to his unique playstyle? Will you invest in the energy regen he needs? Let's talk about it in the comments section. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more in-depth Wuthering Waves content. Thanks for watching, maraming salamat po, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.